Hi, I'm Claire, and this is my TBR for the Space Readathon. The Space Readathon is happening from the 15th to the 21st of October, so for me as I'm recording it starts tomorrow, and for you as you're seeing this it starts today. And it lasts a week. It's organized by Sana from Books and Quills, and it's all about reading books set in space or about space. Now, as I've mentioned before on this channel, I'm not great at TBRs or like reading lists in general, nor am I usually great at following readathons, but I actually already had like a bunch of books about space or set in space that I wanted to read, like a bunch of sci-fi. I thought it would be an excellent opportunity to actually get to these things as soon as possible. I have one novel and a whole bunch of shorter things to tell you about today, but before I get to the books, let me tell you about the readathon challenges. The first challenge is to do your own TBR for this readathon, and obviously it's this video you're watching now, so that's a tick for me. At number 2, we've got which book characters would be in your space crew. Funnily enough, this one was the trickiest question for me because I kept thinking of characters that I'd like to have in my space crew because, you know, they would be great to have around. Like I was thinking Murderbot from the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells would be great to have around as security because Murderbot is a security consultant. It is really good at its job and it really cares about doing its job well, whether or not it wants you to know that. But also, Murderbot doesn't like super like humans. Correction, Murderbot likes certain humans, but Murderbot isn't super comfortable with humans in general, and I'm a fairly chatty human. I feel like I'd make Murderbot pretty uncomfortable, even though we'd have stuff to talk about, because Murderbot loves media, and I love me some media too. I was kind of thinking, poor Murderbot if it was stuck with someone like me, like being a really introverted bot that doesn't really know how to be a human. That would not be great for Murderbot. And then I was thinking about Daisy and Hazel from the Murder Most Unladylike books, mostly because I finished reading one of them and, you know, you can see how smart and competent they are in those books, like so well. But then I was thinking, if I had Daisy and Hazel in my spaceship, then there would be a murder. And I'd probably be the one getting murdered because Daisy and Hazel are like the main characters and they're not gonna get murdered. So I kept thinking of scenarios where like someone from a book that I like would be really great to like have around and hang out with, but there was like a thing that wouldn't work out. So honestly, I'm not quite sure. The third challenge is to wear a space themed item while reading, and for me that one was really obvious. I knew immediately I wanted to wear my Cotton t-shirt. So I'm not wearing it in this video right now because it actually needs to go in the wash. So I'm gonna put it in the wash as soon as I'm done filming this video, so it's nice and clean and dry for snuggling in tomorrow when I'm having a reading day for the first day of the readathon, because I usually work Saturdays and get Sundays and Mondays off for my weekend days. And now we're getting into the books. The fourth challenge is to read a space-themed book with no stars on the cover, and for this I'm going with Saga. Saga is a comic book by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples, and I've been reading it for a really long time. I've got volume 8 and volume 9 that I need to catch up with. I'm sure many of you know this comic book series already. It's about a family. The couple, Elana and Marco, come from different sides of this interplanetary war, but they have a daughter called Hazel and they are like happy together and they just don't want to do war anymore, even though they used to be soldiers, and so for that reason the governments of their respective planets are after them like nobody's business, and there are so many other side characters. Like, it's a proper kind of sprawling space opera with loads and loads of stuff happening. I love it. The thing is, I know that after book 9, Vaughan and Staples are taking a little break from this series and focusing on other projects, and they're gonna come back and write more like in a year or so, I think. I don't know. But there's no new saga coming out for a little while, and I've heard this one ends in a massive cliffhanger. So I'm probably gonna read these and then like feel really bad that there's no new ones for a while, but I've been holding off, and the Space Readathon is an excellent opportunity to read them, and also comic books in a readathon, like, you have to do it. And the final challenge for this readathon is to read a space themed classic, and this one took me the longest, honestly, because I don't have that many SFF classics, but in the end, I realized of course there is something that I would love to read that is a sci-fi classic, and that is Ursula Le Guin, obviously. So I have Planet of Exile and Rockinon's World, and both of these are really short novels. I think they'd be classified as novellas now. They are part of Ursula Le Guin's Hainish cycle, so even though they're not like set in space, they are part of this larger series that encompasses a whole lot of space. So I feel like that's a fair pick for a space-themed classic, and even if it's not, I don't care because I want to reread these. I've read some of the Hainish cycle before. I've read The Dispossessed, I've read these two. What I've wanted to do for a really long time is to go in and reread the books I've read in the Hainish cycle and then read the ones that I haven't read yet. And if you wonder how this space readathon that I decided to do on a whim when it was posted like 2 days ago turned into a giant rereading project, me too. I wonder that too, but it's happened. Now there are a few more things I would love to get to during this space readathon week, and the first is The Stars Now Unclaimed by Drew Williams. I got this review copy from the folks at Tor Books. It's about a woman called Jane who may or may not in the past have caused this like apocalyptic type event called the Purge, but now she works as an agent to recruit kids with like special powers, and a girl called Essa who has these special powers, but she is from a world where there's like no space travel. It's just not where they're at yet, so that's going to be an interesting conflict, I think. And then of course there's like the bad guys who are pursuing Jane, but they're like completely unaffected by this purge thing that is a big deal for like everybody else except for them. Honestly, I don't know much more about this book apart from what the blurb was saying. I've not heard many people talking about it yet, but I really love how the book looks. I love the cover and like the general like feel that I get from it, and I would like to give it a go. Now this one is almost 450 pages. That is quite chunky to read during a readathon. However, this is the only novel that I'm going to be trying to read. I've got some novellas apart from this, and of course the comic books, so hopefully that should be okay. Next up, I have a book that I know next to nothing about, and that is Night Flyers by George R.R. Martin. This is like a space horror kind of book, as you can probably tell by the cover. It's set in space. There's astronauts, as you can see. It's a tiny hardback, which is one of my favorite formats of books. I think they are so cute. It is under 200 pages and it has these gorgeous illustrations. But I was thinking this one would be like a really great one to read in like just one go, like tomorrow morning, bundle myself up in my heated blanket on my armchair in the living room. Hopefully it'll be raining and gross just like today, and just read a creepy story by George R.R. Martin, whose writing style I really enjoy. A little horror thing that would work for the space readathon and also for like general Halloween spoopiness. I would also love to read The Tea Monster and the Detective by Alia de Bodard. This is a novella in the Bodard Studia universe, which I've just started reading recently when I read On Red Station Drifting, which I really enjoyed. So I would love to like try and read more in that universe. The Tea Monster and the Detective is like kind of gender-swapped Sherlock Holmes in space, which sounds amazing. I think it was nominated for a bunch of awards, and in any case I know that my friends who have read it have all absolutely loved it, and I have an e-copy of it, so I cannot wait to get to this one. And then of course I would love to finish the Binti series by Nnedi Okorafor. I read Binti, the first of the 3 novellas, when it first came out. This is about a girl called Binti who is like a math prodigy, and she's the first in her family to be invited to Umza University, which is a university off planet, but no one in her family has left the planet before, even though they're all like also really super smart and good at math. Like she is the first who decides to actually like sneak away and leave and go to the space university. The first book deals with a lot of like cool alien languagey things, and I've been meaning to read Binti Home and Binti Masquerade, the second and third book in the series, for a little while. I have e-copies of them, so this would be a great opportunity to get to those as well. So that's it. This was my Space Readathon TBR. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you're planning on taking part in the readathon yourself and what you are reading, if you are doing it. If you're not doing it, let me know what kind of like space sci-fi things you've got on the horizon anyway. If you have anything that you've read recently that you enjoy, do let me know. I'm always up for some good recommendations. If you'd like to see more from me, you can check out a previous video on screen right now. And if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button that's on my face for a new video from me every week. I've been Claire, thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.